Welcome to the Freelance Insider Podcast, the podcast where we take a close look under the hood of the freelance world. I'm your host, Al Calder, a freelance writer and audiobook narrator. I'm here to help you with your freelance journey. Whether you're just starting out or looking to ramp up your freelance game, you're in the right place. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Freelance Insider Show. But before we even start, I want to ask you, have you ever felt like freelance finances were some kind of secret code? It can feel that way, like everyone else knows something you don't. Well, that's why we're here today. For this look under the hood of freelancer finances, we're going to decode it all. I know this can be an intimidating topic, so I've combined my own knowledge and a ton of research into the latest expert opinions on this important topic. One big takeaway right off the bat is this. Being good with money as a freelancer, it's not about luck. It's about having a reliable system, a set of steps like a roadmap to, help you navigate the ups and downs of freelancing. And trust me, there are definitely ups and downs. I mean, sure, we get to be our own bosses, set our own hours, wear pajama pants in the office, the dream, right? But, and it's a big but, we also have those unique financial challenges, like the feast or famine cycles. 1 month you're rolling in it, next month you're like famine again. And that, my friend, is why it's so important to separate your finances, business, and personal totally separate. No ifs, ands, or buts. There are plenty of stories out there of freelancers that come close to losing everything because they got sued and didn't have an LLC. It's a nightmare scenario, but it highlights why that legal protection is so important. So an LLC is like a shield protecting your personal stuff from the business stuff. It gives you peace of mind, which we all need in the freelance world. Okay, so we've got our separate bank accounts, LLC in place. Now let's talk money. Like, how much are we talking here? The average freelancer makes about $40,000 US a year. Not bad, but here's the thing. What if I tell you that you should be saving 25 to 30% of that for taxes? That's the not so fun part. I mean, ouch, that's a big chunk. But when you're the boss, you got to be the accountant too. And that is where the budget comes in. Be honest. Have you ever felt like budgets are kind of restrictive? It's time to change that thinking. Instead, think of a budget not as a restriction, but as a tool, like a financial GPS, guiding you where you want to go. It helps you make choices so you can reach those goals like that dream vacation, or finally paying off that credit card debt. Or maybe just treating yourself to that extra fancy latte. Okay, so we're agreed a budget is a must. But even with a budget, how do we actually get paid? It's not like we get a regular paycheck, right? In a powerful YouTube video on how to manage finances as a freelancer, Robin Bradley talks about the concept of the owner's draw. It sounds kind of fancy, but basically it's just how freelancers pay themselves. We don't wait for a paycheck. We give ourselves a paycheck. Robin recommends setting a consistent salary. Transfer it from your business to your personal account. Boom, paycheck. It's like having a regular paycheck, even though we're the ones writing the check. But what about those times when you land a big project and suddenly you're flush with cash? It's a good problem to have. Do you just draw from it? Well, it depends. Some people like to stick to a fixed amount no matter what. They like to see what the end of the year looks like. Perhaps they'll give themselves a raise then. Others adjust quicker, based on workload and financial goals. There's no one right answer. It's all about finding what works for you. Now let's talk about something that maybe doesn't work so well. Taxes. I know, not the most fun topic, but as freelancers, we got to know this stuff. Income tax and self-employment tax. We get to handle both. Double the fun. Which means we've got to be super organized about tracking our income and expenses. Full disclosure. I've always been a bit of a shoebox accountant until recently. Receipts, bills, all stuffed in a box, hoping for the best come tax time. But honestly, in this digital age, there's a better way. I recommend using a spreadsheet or a business credit card to track everything electronically. Goodbye shoebox, hello spreadsheets. But even with perfect tracking, the thought of that big tax bill in April, it's kind of scary. It is. And that's why quarterly tax payments are a game changer. Now, we're getting into the real nitty-gritty, but think of it this way. Instead of one giant bill, you make smaller payments throughout the year. So, no more tax time freakouts. Keeps you on top of things and, prevents those April surprises. Less stress is always good, but how do we even know how much to pay each quarter? It depends on where you live, but there are typically resources available from your national tax service. In the US, for example, the IRS has a Form 1040. It helps you estimate your taxes based on your income, deductions, all that good stuff. So with these quarterly payments, things start to feel a lot less scary. But even with all these new tools, taxes still feel like a mystery. No need to panic. Taxes can be tricky, so if you're feeling lost, maybe consider a tax professional. A tax professional can be like your tax superhero. Basically, someone who can guide you through all the complexities. Make sure you're taking advantage of everything you can. So, now we've got our tax game plan sorted. What's next on our freelancer finance adventure? Let's talk about something that's often overlooked, but super important. Deductions. Every dollar counts, right? There are some surprising things you may be able to try and deduct depending on your tax jurisdiction. Things like home office space, professional development courses, even travel expenses. That doesn't necessarily mean you can deduct for that family vacation to Bali, but if the trip is primarily for business and you have the receipts to prove it, it can be a legitimate deduction. It's like a whole new world of financial possibilities. But remember, it's important to keep good records and make sure you understand what's actually deductible for your specific business. It's always good to stay on the right side of the tax authority. So, we've got tax deductions. What else should we be thinking about as a savvy freelancer? We've talked about the present, the day-to-day, but what about the future? No, I'm not talking about flying cars and robot assistants. What I'm talking about is long-term financial goals like retirement. That may feel so far away, but it's never too early to start planning. Even if you're just starting out, even small contributions can make a big difference over time. Small steps, big impact. We've covered a lot of ground already, but it feels like we're just getting started. There's so much more to explore in the world of freelancer finances, so buckle up. Because in the next part of our look under the hood, we're going to tackle some even bigger topics. Things like paying yourself a salary, the magic of automating your finances, and we'll even dip our toes into the sometimes intimidating world of investing. If the idea of all this sounds exciting and a little scary at the same time, don't worry, I'll break it down. Make it easy to understand. It's so empowering to finally understand this stuff. So tying in retirement and investing brings to mind another thing Robin Bradley brought up in her YouTube video. She suggests treating your savings like a Diet Coke. Even if you only have like $1 a day, a Diet Coke amount, put it away consistently over time. It adds up, it grows. It becomes something much bigger over time. Small, consistent steps. That's manageable, right? Another idea is to start with investing $20 a month and then increase it by $10 every quarter. So it kind of grows with you. A built-in growth plan. It makes it less daunting. But speaking of daunting, how do we choose the right investment retirement plan? There are so many options out there. But there are actually these automated investment platforms. You just answer a few questions and they create a portfolio for you to manage. It's all pretty hands-off. Less time stressing about investments, more time taking that dream vacation to Bali we talked about, or building your business, or just, enjoying life. So retirement, check. Investments, check. What else should we be thinking about for our long-term financial health? Well, one thing that often gets overlooked but is super important, especially for us freelancers, is insurance. It's important, but it can feel so overwhelming. It can be, but honestly, it's all about peace of mind, knowing you're protected if something unexpected happens. While this makes sense, there are so many types of coverage: health, disability, liability. Where do we even start? Priorities will be different depending on your business, but it's a good idea to prioritize disability insurance, especially if you're in a physically demanding creative field, like, say, a photographer. If you rely on your hands or your eyesight, protecting those are crucial. Professional liability insurance is another important one. Think about it. If a client threatens to sue and the insurance covers your legal fees, you can avoid financial devastation. It's like protection from those nightmare client situations. It protects you if a client claims you made a mistake or violated copyright, things like that. Okay, so we've covered retirement, investing, insurance. We're building a pretty solid foundation for our freelance finances. But there's one more piece of the puzzle I want to talk about. It's something simple, but so powerful. Tracking your work hours. But what I mean isn't more about getting the work done no matter how long it takes. That's a common mindset. But tracking your hours can actually help you in a lot of ways. First, it helps you understand your productivity. Figure out when you're most efficient, what tasks take the longest, so you can optimize your workflow. Maybe even raise your rates. But it also helps you set boundaries and prevent burnout, which is huge for freelancers. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and work around the clock. It is. But tracking your hours, it makes you more aware of how you're spending your time. It helps you create a more sustainable and balanced work life. Balance. That's the key word, because at the end of the day, it's not just about the money. It's about living a good life. And tracking your hours, it's like a little nudge to remind yourself that your time is valuable. I know all of this financial stuff can feel overwhelming, but the key is to take it one step at a time. You don't have to do everything at once. Just pick one thing. Focus on that. Then move on to the next, one step at a time. Even if you only implement a couple of the tips we've outlined so far, you'll be well on your way to mastering your freelance finances. So let's recap. We've tackled budgeting, investing, even faced those pesky taxes head on. We talked about the idea of quarterly tax payments. No more giant tax bills in April. Stay organized, track every dollar, but remember, you can make adjustments to those quarterly payments throughout the year as your reality changes. I mean, let's be real. Our income as freelancers, it can be kind of unpredictable. Feast or famine, right? So if you have a really good quarter, you can bump up your payment. And if things are a little slower, you can adjust it down. It keeps everything balanced. So no more nasty surprises come tax time. But what if even with all this knowledge, taxes still feels overwhelming? Well, as we mentioned, tax professionals. We've covered tons of ground in this look under the hood of freelance finances. Budgeting, taxes, insurance, investing, even retirement planning. It's a lot, but honestly, I feel like we've just scratched the surface. There's always more to learn. But at least now we have a solid foundation to build on, and that's the key, right? It's the journey, not the destination. So keep learning, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep creating amazing things. And don't forget, you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of freelancers out there facing the same challenges, celebrating the same wins. And with the right knowledge, the right mindset, and maybe a little help from a tax pro, we can all thrive in this crazy freelance world. Thanks for joining us on this look under the hood. We'll be back soon with more freelance insights and tips to help you level up your freelance game. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Freelance Insider Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps more freelancers like you find the show. Got questions or topics you want covered? Reach out to me at remoteofficeworld.com. You can also find the link in the show description. Until next time, keep on freelancing your way to freedom.